Hey, hello. Friday afternoon. It's Harrison from Trucking into the Future with Harrison. I've done three parts for owner operator, independent, uh, how to get your own authority. Now I want to touch on another one that's kind of a sore spot for me, and that's lease purchase. There's a lot of guys, and I don't mean new entrants. I mean really just some guys are, a lot of my friends have, actually tried it, and they've been in the trucking business for 20 some odd years. What I want to say about it is that you really have to do your homework and be very diligent when you get into that contract. Uh, it's something that what I think is that most drivers just want to be owner operators, and they think that's the way to go about doing it. And there are some companies that are good lease purchase people. I haven't really heard of any or seen any, but I have heard that there are some that are, have a fair deal. But most of the contracts that I see are almost cookie cutter. Like everyone has the same type agreement where they'll lease purchase you a truck and you stay leased to that company and you have all the expenses. And the bad part of that contract is that you can't take that truck and go to work for anybody else. You have to stay with that company, or you're uh, in delinquent on that contract. You're not legal on a contract. You broke the contract. Uh, but you've got to pay the liability insurance, all the fuel, just anything that happens. And well, let's face it, it's just a win-win for a carrier. They get to sell some of the junk that they really were going to trade in anyway and could get a decent price for. And they'll sell that truck again if they get it back from you. And even when they get it back from you, they'll take your escrow money, which you pay. That's part of the contract. And it's pretty heavy. I mean, it could be 20, 30 cents a mile in some cases. And they keep that money in escrow. And you think it's so that, well, if the motor blows up or I need tires, I can get that money. Wrong. You don't get that money. That money never comes back to you. And when they repossess the truck or you give it back because you're just not making it, that's theirs. And the balance of that truck that you owe is still theirs. Because by the time you drag it through court and everything, you sign the agreement to pay for that truck. It's just like buying a car, same thing. You're obligated to finish that payment. And it can be a real life changing issue, especially for young guys that are trying to get started and want to buy a house and they're, just married, got kids to take care of. That's a tough way to start out. My thing about being a lease purchase operator is you're wanting to be an owner operator, but you have no money in the bank to back yourself up. And I don't mean to sound cold or anything about that, but that's generally the ones that will get into that agreement. Uh, you can't be forced into it. You have to want to do it. And when you get into that, uh, the money is if you don't have it in the bank to back yourself up for at least a few months, for your fuel, your insurance, the truck payments that you're going to have to make, because the first, probably first year that you're a lease purchase operator, maybe not even that long, they'll run you pretty hard. And they do. They'll show you all kinds of money. But in the bottom line of that paycheck, there won't be much left. I mean, you can make two, three, $4,000 a week. When they get all done taking their pieces of the pie, $500 to $800 a week for the truck payment, insurance, escrow, fuel taxes, road taxes, license plates, which are going to be in their name too, not yours. They're going to be in their name. Uh, Actually, nothing in that truck is in your name until you finally get the bill of sales. That for some reason, a lot of these lease purchase companies, they lose them. All of a sudden, they can't find them, and that becomes a battle because now you've got to somehow come up with a bill of sales if you can put it in your name. And without the bill of sales, well, you can't. So that's another side that I think is really kind of rough that they do. Uh, I'd like to see them come up with some kind of rules and regulations that these lease purchases can't do this. Uh, and the government has tried, but I think it's just a matter of doing business. And I think the government, courts, and that would say, look, you took into this agreement. You want to be in business. You should know better. Well, when you want to be something, an owner operator, and you want to have your own truck, and you want to be able to say you own it, then you might do a lot of crazy things. But my opinion is if you don't have the money in the bank to buy your own truck, I don't think it's the time for you to become a lease purchase operator. I'd like to see it work out for you, and and I really want it to work out for you because I know how difficult it can be to be to get in the trucking business. It's very difficult, and it's the fees and what have you that you have to go through are a lot. But what I don't like is that you really have no control. That truck is not yours. When you sign them papers, it's in the lease purchase name and yours, if even yours. But for the most part, they tell you you own the truck. Well, I honestly don't think you ever own the truck. I have not known anybody that has actually ventured into that lease purchase thing and agreement and become the owner of that truck. I just haven't known anybody. Now, I'm not saying there's not some because there's some companies out there that really try to sell you really nice stuff, new trucks, which is a good thing. If you're buying somebody else's junk, that's a bad thing because that's just a win-win for the carrier. You need to stay away from that. But I would really like to see them. I'm moving around here a little bit. I'm sorry for that. You know, it's just a hard thing to do, and I would rather see you take and put some money in the bank and save enough to where you can at least get started. If you don't have a whole gang of money, but at least have something and have the truck in your name. If you're going to go bankrupt and you're going to do it in your name anyway, then why not own it? I mean, that's my thing. If you're lease purchasing it, well, you can find a truck. You know enough about trucks to find your own truck and find one that's in your realm that you could afford uh, and will do the job and service what you want to transport. And you can buy your own trailer and move on to some of the other programs that I had talked about. With being eventually becoming an independent with your own authority. But that takes a few years. It's not like 20 years. I mean, not anybody can learn how to do something after a while, and it just takes time to learn. Though, if you jump into it, uh, you know, if you're young and single and you don't really care and you got years to make it up, that's one thing. Uh, I would think that would be uh, probably the way that I would do it. I would not want to have a family, a home to pay for, uh, everything else involved, and not know where my next dime's coming from. Because eventually, that company that you're leased to with that lease purchase, he's going to start slowing you down. And it seems to me like they do it on purpose so they can get that truck back. And they'll take it and they'll sell it again for the same price they sold it to you. I mean, that 120,000 truck, that thing will become a $500,000 truck to them after they're done. So, with all that said, I just wanted to touch on that base because I did three other chapters on owner operator and what have you. And if you get a chance, go back and look at them. Um, and I think there's some pretty good insight there. If you need to have anything, explained, or if I can help you with anything, just click the like button. And if you leave a comment in the comment section, uh, I have no problem with answering anything. And I know there's some that's probably not going to agree with me that lease purchase was a good way to go. I'm not saying there's not some. What I am saying is that the majority of them are not very good. Uh, but as a person that's been in the trucking business for 50 plus years, I'm not going to say I know everything because every day was something to learn. But I have seen some people really get hurt bad with that kind of stuff. So save your money, buy your own truck, but don't buy a new one. Buy a good used truck, uh, and start out that way. And then, as you go on, you get a newer truck and a newer truck to where you can finally buy a brand new one. and it worked out for me. I mean, I did that. I've owned 4 or 5 brand new trucks in my time as a single owner operator, independent, I should say. Well, both. Uh, but it's been a real learning experience every day. But don't have somebody poking you in the back saying, if you don't take this load, we're going to repossess your truck, or you're not going to make your payment this week. Don't let them do that to you, because you got a family to take care of. That means more than any truck. So after all that, looking at my ugly face, I want to say thanks for listening. Hit the like button, leave me a comment, and if you can subscribe, I surely would appreciate it. Uh, and I will catch you on the next video, which I'm working on something a little different. So I'll catch you on the next video. My name's Harrison, trucking into the future with Harrison, and I will catch you next week on the next video. Bye bye.